Hello, and welcome to our podcast where we talk about clean air, navigating the crazy world of parenting during COVID, and a lot of other fun topics. I'm Issara, and Lisa is sleeping right now, which frankly sounds sort of amazing. The reason I'm up is because today I'm excited to be joined by the amazing Ruth Brooker. Brooker. Oh man, I'm butchering your name. I'm so sorry. Founder of Clean Air for Kids UK. Ruth was recently at the UN for their Health Indoor Air Global Call for Action Summit events. This was a highly consequential event that myself and a lot of us are following. And Lisa and I wanted to chat with Ruth and get her reactions. Ruth, thank you for your time. First of all, how are you recovering from your epic trip?
I'm all right, actually. I think I basically just didn't sleep while I was out there. So
Perfect. That's always a
I'm
great
now
solution to
dropping
that problem.
straight back
Yeah.
into UK time. I seem okay today, but yesterday I felt like I was underwater. But I'm okay
Yeah.
now. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. And was that your first time in New York?
Oh my God, it certainly was. It was a shock to the senses, shall we say?
It's intense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I come from living in London, so I thought I knew all about cities, but no,
No. It's
slightly
it's
different.
intense. I've traveled a
Yeah.
lot. I lived there. I loved it. I love visiting New York. I don't think I loved living there, but I love visiting. It's an amazing place, but it's pretty intense and fun.
Yeah, it was. One thing that surprised me. I know we know you know this because you've seen New York in films, and it feels like you've been there anyway, doesn't it? But it was like the belching smoke coming out of the grills. It's
It's
like,
it's a
oh my
thing.
God, it's Gotham
Yeah.
City.
Yeah, it's a thing. It freaked me out when I first got there. Yeah, totally. I forgot about that. It's amazing. So tell me, you were just at this UN summit, which, as far as I can tell, is the largest, most consequential event since the pandemic started on this topic of clean air. I watched a lot of videos. I saw some amazing speakers. But like, give us, I think, a little bit of background would be awesome. Like, how did you end up there?
Well, yeah, I literally took an intake of breath when Bronwyn King, Dr. Bronwyn King, who's the main one of the main organizers, wrote to me and said, "I want to speak to you because I've organizing this amazing event at the UN." And I think I literally took in my breath, like, oh my God. And I just had that awareness of it. I think I've just been invited to something really significant. This is really cool. And obviously, I've been a big fan of Bronwyn's anyway. I follow what she's been speaking about for the last couple of years. So it felt like a real honor to be approached. And then we met up for a chat online. And yeah, we only need 20 minutes, like 40 minutes later, we're still gabbling to each other about it. So it was just like, I just felt profoundly like someone of this caliber asks you to come and do something, you don't say no. And
Totally.
I think Bronwyn is that sort of person who makes stuff happen, and you wouldn't say no to her about anything. I don't think.
That's
So
exciting.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was it felt like a moment really, and I was like, I have to go to this thing. I actually didn't know how I was going to get there, and there was some circumstances which made me feel really doubtful about whether it was actually going to be possible. But I booked my flights about a week before, so it was rather last minute, and I had to sort my family out. It's also a big deal when you leave your kids behind. So there's lots of I'm the gap plugger in the house who does sort of everything and makes
Mm,
everything tick. And you go, oh, how's this going to work when you take me out? I don't know. So
yeah.
there's substantial, but it was just no. I just have to go to this event. So
Do
and
you
I did.
do, do you know how she found you?
Um, which apparently had been following my stuff for a couple of years. So
Great.
uh, that felt surprising. So I just thought I was this little person in Britain just shouting about clean air in schools. And you forget that perhaps the audience is international.
Yeah. And so when you say following on X, right? Like she was following you on X.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the main sort of place that I've been, and the main community is still begrudgingly here. So yeah, that's where I've been talking. Certainly, I do mutter about other thing on other platforms, but this is the main community still is here. So that's where I guess she
Okay.
would have been talking.
Yeah, and we'll link to your profile and Clean Air for Kids and everything. But yeah, I just want to hear. So what are your thoughts about this? Like, you were there, you saw all these people, we've been watching clips online, but you were actually at the event. Like, what did you think?
It really felt like a slice of history when I was
Hmm.
sat there. I thought it was going to be a good thing to do, obviously, before I went. Um, but I wasn't quite prepared for being sat in that room and hearing everyone speak all collectively together about it felt like being part of something very big. Um, it was described the next day as being by a very important speaker. I'm not going to say their name because I might get it wrong. I'm pretty sure I know who it was, but just in case,
Okay. All right.
he said that it was a seismic historic event. And I thought, gosh, that is right. That's interesting. They perceived it that way because that's certainly how it felt to me to be sat there.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, from the outside, absolutely 100% that's how it felt. Like I was watching something that we'd all been sort of in our minds, you know, aware that this is happening and that it's not getting the attention. And this was it finally getting the attention and the format. And it was pretty moving, I have to say, having been thinking and writing and reading about this topic for a long time now, what it feels like, even though it's only been 5 years. But yeah, I was pretty blown away.
It's a very long 5 years, wasn't it? So it felt
Five,
life
5 years going on
changing.
50.
Yeah, 50. We're all grey, epic. 50 years in 5 years.
Haggard. What
I'm
I'm
actually,
so,
can I just say one thing? I'm
yeah.
just interested to see how it did actually, because I haven't spoken to many people yet because obviously landed yesterday. So I'm actually quite interested to hear about how people who weren't there felt about it, because also at the time, even though I was in this amazing moment, I was also distracted by things like I was with Plumstone, and there we were in the same hotel. So, I traveled there with her and I know her anyway. And obviously she was going to be a speaker, and so she said, "Oh, take loads of photos." So I was sort of focusing on like, which bit of the auditorium do I need to be in to take the photos? So you've got those sort of like issues
No
playing on
pressure.
your mind when you're actually in the moment. You're not necessarily, like, do I stand here or do I move over there because I can't really see it from here? Oh my god! So you have all these like little tiny uh sort of faintly, in comparison to the seismic event, trivial moments going through your head. So I'd be interested to know about someone who wasn't distracted, how that felt.
Well, if you find them, let me know and we'll talk to them on the podcast too. Totally. Yeah, I mean, if we could spend the rest of it, like talking about the lighting and the composition of the photo quality inside the UN. Yeah, well, I mean, I think, one of the things that just overshadowed a lot, because I frankly don't know how long it lasted or who all the speakers were, but so on X, the thing that really just took over my feed was all the Violet Affleck clips. And if you're not watching this, and if you have no idea what we're talking about, Violet Affleck, her parents are these, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. Uh, A-list Hollywood movie stars with gigantic platforms who, as far as I can tell, have in no way endorsed their daughter whatsoever or mentioned to her that she exists, or the activism she's doing just seemed to be like radio silence entirely. So that's like a big TBD as to whether they're even A, aware and B, supportive. But if they are, I hope they take the time to listen to her speech. I'm sure they're sick of hearing her talk about it, as all families are. But they have gigantic, enormous platforms with millions and millions of followers. So obviously it'd be nice to get them to say something. But that's kind of what took over my feed. So I was watching that, and as someone who's into youth activism, because I really feel, just to go off on my own little rant here, is like they're the ones with the actual skin in the game, right? They have the entire lifetime ahead of them to be dealing with. If they have health consequences now, it's going to ripple and cascade through their entire lives, regardless if they're 12 or 14 or in high school or whatever. And so them waking up to that realization that, like, oh, these people who are telling me not to worry, just in a pragmatic sense, regardless of like their own personal beliefs, they just have a lot left life less life left in them, whether they're like 50, 60, 70, like, that if they develop a health thing, yeah, it sucks for the rest of their lives. But like, we're talking like, I'm a young person. This is my entire life, and I don't have a choice of whether or not to be in school. I have to be in school. It's the law requires it. My parents can literally be arrested if they don't send me to school unless they're enrolled in like a homeschooling or something. And so they have very little say, very little agency. And one of the things that I love about when they sort of figure out that the situation is they realize that, oh, nobody can really do much to them. Like with us, we can get fired from things, we can lose our livelihood. In America, we can lose our health insurance. There's very consequential things, which is one of the ways, like, our democracy is structured so that there's a lot of consequences. But for these kids, they can literally like go on a strike or a protest or something, and you can't fire them. You can't really expel them because they have to go to school somewhere, so there's less consequences. So it's more like a workers' strike, where if you shut down the factory, um, you can't just fire everybody because then you literally shut down your entire business. It's sort of like that. So from an activist standpoint, I've been very intrigued by these youth activists. And so seeing her on there, and I don't know if she's building a platform or not, but I hope so, because she definitely has a lot to say and she says it well. Um, but yeah, so that's just kind of what we saw. I watched a couple other clips of this woman from Boston who spoke about a really fascinating project with their indoor air quality and CO2 monitoring. I was just like, wow, I didn't even know about that. But that's kind of what took over. So you obviously saw a lot more speakers, and that didn't go as viral. And you probably have thoughts about Violet, what she said, and some other things as well.
Okay, I think there's a question in there.
Yeah. So like, what, like,
Okay, two. I got
were
yeah.
there any
One
other
I want to answer.
speakers? Yeah.
Sorry. Um, I want to talk about children because obviously
Yeah.
that's the whole reason we set up my organisation. And you're completely right. You know that these children are having their health abandoned, and I know that very painfully. Watching a child go through years of cancer treatment and not wanting to see him back there. I just don't want to do anything that might compromise the preciousness of his long-term health. The other thing is, so my reaction to seeing Violet speaking was profound, because you think, well, here's this person speaking very clearly, very with fierceness, that righteous anger that isn't present
Hmm.
for the adult speakers. And for me, it can't be. I would love to speak like that. But if I went down and tried to talk to people in power in my city or to my school using that, I wouldn't get anywhere. And I'd have the door shut in my face, because it's a power struggle. Because I want my child in this institution. If I start rattling you too much, we're going to end up with not being able to talk to each other. And so I need to get an outcome, so yeah, it was very interesting to watch her speak in a way that I can't.
Hmm.
Um, and I valued that a lot. But yes, I would like to hear more from this generation, because they do have a lot to lose if we get this wrong, which I believe, are.
Totally. Yeah. Were there any other speakers that you really connected with, or were I don't know, maybe surprised by, or was it all
Well,
fairly topical?
um, the obviously, I'm going to mention Plumstone. We know each other anyway, and coming from a vulnerable family, she speaks for me. You know, this is an issue of accessibility and inclusion in our public spaces. And in fact, she's just texted me now. Go away. Um,
Bring her
so
on,
that
man.
was
Have
so
her
weird.
on.
It's like,
Yeah.
not now, Tom, not now. Um,
It's awesome.
um, yeah. So yeah, I keenly identify with that project, because this is, for me, personal. I have a child who is in remission from cancer, and this is all about making our public spaces accessible, even down to, he's been invited to a birthday party on Saturday and he's desperate to go, and I'm there thinking, he's going to be in some god awful public space with kids leaping around everywhere. Can he even go? Nobody's considering whether that's even okay. Nobody considers it. I'm
No.
just looked at as if I'm a crazy person that I can't
No.
send my child to that environment. So I'm desperate for that to shift. I've got very distracted. Oh yeah, so Plum's speech hit, obviously very personal for me. Um, and she used a word called quiet. I talked about this before with her. quietly excluded. And that phrasing is so important because it is quietly done. You know, that we're not allowed to speak about the fact that my child isn't capable really without mitigations of his own entering that space safely. So that those words really spoke to me. And I have to mention as well, I think the standout speech for me was the education minister from Montenegro. I don't know if you've seen any clips of that. It was fantastic to hear her speak. I mean, I knew stuff had been, I think I'd heard flickerings of things that were going on there, but I didn't quite realize how significantly what they have done. So I will be going back over that speech very carefully and watching it again. But it was fantastic to see a politician taking it so seriously, and I thought she spoke brilliantly. And now
Wow.
everyone wants to move to Montenegro, so
I will make a point to watch that. I haven't seen that one. That sounds great.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, okay. I am, this is on topic, maybe sort of random. I am curious how when you flew, like how did you protect yourself? Like what sort of respirator did you wear?
Well, I it was a big thing for me. I've not been on a plane in 5 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know how I was going to make this work. I just thought there must be a way of there must be a way of making this work. Bronwyn had already reassured me on our chats beforehand that she had been on loads of flights and knew ways of making it safe. I was like, right, I'm just going to roll with that.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so my only strategy really, I did consider, you know, we've had on chats online, haven't we, about portable air filters and stuff. And yes, I could have taken that with me, but then it's a hassle of having to carry it, and my bags were kind of heavy anyway. So I just thought, I don't think there's any point in taking that. You know, from what I've understood from all the reading I've done over the last couple of years, that I think once the plane is up in the air, you know, that there will be filtration systems working. Now, I obviously had my CO2 monitor with me, and I can tell you it was disturbing. But I was also
Yeah.
appreciating the fact that, well, they can't open the windows, you know, so the CO2
Yeah.
isn't going to be able to come down. That doesn't mean the filters are not working, you know. So I would just have to assume that they are on very
Yeah.
plain there. So what I did was I kept my mask on. It was brutal actually, because I was wearing my mask
That's
on
a
the
long
coach.
flight.
It was also the bit before because I took a coach to Heathrow. So, which
Yeah.
the airport was also no good on there. So you say, like, I took the coach
Yeah.
to the airport, brief breather, outside going, oh, and then back on again through the airport. Obviously, all the time I was there quite early, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to miss it. And so 3 hours in the airport beforehand, total time of flight. So I think in total I did about, I don't know, a solid 14 hours of continuous masking. It was quite a lot. And I was wearing a head with the aura, the famous auras.
Yeah, it's
Because I
my
thought
go-to.
this is just the best thing I think I can get my hands on. So I'm just going to wear that. And on the flight, when I needed to eat and drink, I would just breathe, take the mask down, shove the stuff in, put it back up, and just have to cross my fingers. I
Yeah. Yeah. That's basically
just did that
exactly
as
how
limited
we
amount
do
of
it.
times as possible.
Yeah, 100%. That's cool. Yeah, I was just curious. I know some people in the COVID community have elaborate things and whatever, but yeah, that's how I rock it is with an aura. A bunch of them actually, just in case like anything happens to the one I have. I have like three backups because I've had the strap break before
Yeah,
and like,
yeah, they're
you
very
know,
flimsy, aren't they? Mhm.
I mean they're good until they're not. You know, like
Yeah,
I think I've
totally.
had it happen one time in like 3 years, but that one time I was like, oh, I don't want to be in a bad situation and just have this thing just completely fall off, you know?
What was so lovely about it um, was just the opportunity to meet all these people that you've been talking to for a couple of years, on and off, in person, um, and that was this is what we're all trying to do. We are trying to make our public spaces safer so that we can do this because we need to do this. You know, like Zoom and chatting is all well and good, isn't it? And we make do with it, but it's not the same as in person. You lose so much from not meeting in person. So it was joyous to be able to talk and share stories and laugh with people from Ireland, from uh, America, from oh gosh, where else have we? Who else was I talking? Mostly America, I think.
Hmm. Well,
Canada,
that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
It was what we
sorry, go
need.
ahead.
You know, that's it really. It was yeah, just and to see people in the flesh and to, see how they really are as well. Um, was so interesting, and sometimes just to talk about in the professional networking space, especially when there's products to be sold and stuff. It's quite hard to see the real people, and it's easy to just think, oh well, they're just pushing a product, But I'm not going to tell you their name, but I had a really lovely chat with a guy who I would never have got this from remote communications. He was so passionate about the pandemic and so upset by it. He
Hmm.
sadly lost his brother to COVID, and I would never have known that. So for him, he said, for me, it's personal, and I just thought, gosh, we lose so much from our professional communications. That I would never have got that. So it was so nice to connect in a human way with people. Um, and also people, I there's a funny moment where because it's such a funny place, the internet, like you see people's little circles
Yeah,
and you
totally.
think you know what they look like, but you're filling in the blanks.
No.
So I was stood by the Turkey Twizzlers in the bar because it was an open air bar for after the UN thing. So I was stood there. And it's quite a lot of people around, and I was stood next to this extremely tall guy, and I was like, God, he looked familiar. And I sort of walked off and didn't think about it again. And I might be getting the pronunciation of his name wrong, but it was like, oh my God, that's Eric Fingelding
Oh,
from Thing.
really?
I was
No
like, I
way.
realized the next day because he was like the size of a bouncer.
Oh my
I
God.
hadn't expected that, like, and people might have looked at, I'd love to know what people thought of me. Like, oh, she's a midget.
That's
How did
so
I get
funny.
this one?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's awesome. Um, any final like thoughts? What's next? You've obviously met a ton of people now. I'm sure your phone has like 500 new contacts of like world famous health people. Yeah, I mean, have you had a chance to sort of process and figure out what's next? I know you're strategizing about legislation in the UK. I know you're focusing on Bristol. Uh, how does this tie in? Yeah.
I haven't got very far yet. I'm still sort of like a rabbit in the headlights after having come back from this event, but I genuinely feel like it was such a brilliant thing to do. Um, and yes, of course, I'm working at a very local level, but I think that will help with the local level. People can't not take you seriously, can they? If you've been to this major international event. So I hope that will help me push the politicians that I'm putting the thumb screws on right now. And yes, of course, it is. I'm dealing regionally, but that is literally just a starting point, because those are the politicians that I can get in the room with. So that is, it is not limited to Bristol. That's just like, let's start here, guys, and see what happens. Let's see what we can do with my local MP, with my Green Party, with Al in the city as well, Dr. Al Hadrell, who's been really, really supportive. So let's see
Mm.
what we can do here. And then literally, where's the next place? Who wants to talk now? That's where I'm going. And I haven't quite tied in yet how the UN event will happen, but I really think it will. I it'll be very interesting to see, won't it, what happens over the next, say, year, and see the true impact of this event. And I can't really give concrete answers right now, but it's I just can't see that it isn't going to be hugely significant. And thank God, because we all need something, right?
Yeah, totally. Any final thoughts?
um, I would like to say thank you to Aaron Collins for and his friend Rob for walking me home when I was on my own in the middle of New York at basically the depths of the night. So thank you. They walked me all the way back to my hotel space. I was very grateful for that.
That's awesome. Well, Ruth, I just want to thank you so much for joining me, sharing these thoughts. I can't wait to share them, get people's reactions. Where can people find you online?
Cleanairforkids.co.uk. I also hang out on LinkedIn a little bit, and also on X, so which is the same handle. I think my personal Twitter handle is at Brooker. It's a bit easier to rattle off. I can't remember if I put numbers into the official one, but that's my personal handle. So you can come and find me there.
Yep, at ERBROOKER on
Yeah.
X. Thank you so much, Ruth. I hope you get some more time to relax, and yeah, look forward to chatting with you more.
Great. Pleasure. Will do.